Hello, everybody. My name's David. I'm an environment artist, and today I'm with a few fine folks from ArdaCraft, a few development people, in fact. So I will turn you over to Jack Fornad, or the Fornad, as I've been I've been told that I must refer to you as the Fornad, Jack.
Yeah,
What,
yeah, yeah. We'll call that an internal joke. Yeah, hi.
internal joke, right? Yeah.
I'm Jack. I founded the server 10 years ago, so back in 2014, actually, over 10 years ago now. And I've been more or less running it ever since. But since then, we've obviously gained many more people. Many people have joined the team, and I now run the server alongside Sean here.
Sean, there we are. There you
Yeah.
are, Sean. Hello, Sean.
Hello, I'm also one of the admins on ArdaCraft. I maybe handle more, let's say, of the building side than Fortnite, and a lot of our training our artists. And yeah, been in the project for many years, and I'm excited for this video.
Lovely. Nice to have you on. And where's Cain? Cain,
Oh yeah, I'm over it. Hello.
there you are.
Yeah, I am the guy that they contract to actually build or 3D model the entire landscape.
Oh, right. I want to talk to you. We can.
Oh dear.
Yeah, definitely. Good stuff. Yeah, you sound like Yorkshire lad.
I'm North Yorkshire.
North Yorkshire. Very good. Very good. And Jack, where are you based?
I live in Glasgow, actually, but I don't sound it
course.
at all. I've grown up all over the place, including outside the UK, so I have a very confusing history. But yeah, I live in Glasgow, and yeah, I've lived in Scotland for a long time.
Cool. Yeah, well, Jack is not that far from me in Edinburgh. Jack's on the west coast, I'm on the east coast, and neither of us sound Scottish in the slightest, do we? So there we go. And Sean, whereabouts are you in the US of A?
Colorado.
Colorado. I've always wanted to go to Colorado. I want to go skiing in Colorado.
Yes, nice skiing, good mountains.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, Colorado, lovely, lovely place, lovely mountains. So yeah, well, great guys. Thanks for inviting me over here, and I've been sort of pretty blown away by all this. And I only found it. I can't believe I only discovered it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I just can't get my head around it because I love Minecraft and always mucking about in Minecraft. I love Lord of the Rings, and this has entirely escaped my attention in the 10 years you've been doing it, which is kind of both good and bad for me, because like it's so much of it is done and I get to enjoy it and I don't have to wait for Hobbiton and Rivendell and all these beautiful places, and it's all here. And yeah, what a great time to sort of jump on board, I think, from my point of view. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a funny one, really, because obviously we have been going for so long. We try to spread the message about what we're doing and the work that we're doing, and it's, I don't know, it's really exciting to finally get, as we were saying, some people who are like yourself, who have worked in the professional games industry or are working in the professional games industry, and can kind of I think it'll just be really interesting today to talk about some of the similarities, some of the many similarities, which I'm sure exist, right, between how we do things and how the pros do it.
It's great to be here. So where should we go first? Should we blow this place and head off into the blue yonder of Middle Earth somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. Well, what I was thinking about was, I think what we can maybe do today, and I've got a few different topics in mind to kind of talk about, but I think maybe the first thing to do that could be really interesting would be to discuss the ways in which the server has kind of developed over time, right? So, like, obviously we started 10 years ago, and the advances that we have made since have been like pretty huge in lots of different ways. So I think what could be really interesting would be to maybe go through a few of our areas and kind of almost in a kind of sequential way, right? So we can talk about some of our really early stuff and look at that, and then we can kind of move through the eras a little bit, just to give you and your viewers a bit of an understanding of like actually what that looks like in terms of internal development and research and work that we put in.
I think people would be
cool.
fascinated with that. Yep, excellent.
Yeah,
good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe complain about older projects. No, I won't.
Yeah. We get to sit around and talk about how much we hate our old stuff. Yeah. So
yeah, it's the nature of it, though, isn't it? It's you always hate your older stuff, and you see all the flaws.
Absolutely, completely. I mean, I think so. We're here in Bag End, obviously, and in Hobbiton, and this place has seen maybe more updates and work over time than maybe any other, right? Because it's the kind of heart and soul of the story, and people have been chipping away at this build for a very long time now, right? So we had a version back in 2014, 2015, which now entirely does not exist. So that's been completely changed, and it's been updated. So you can see that, I suppose those in the know will realize that this is not something from 10 years ago. And one of the big tells in that regard will be the trees, right? So the trees here, if you kind of fly into the trees and look at them, you can see that there are like these individually modeled branches, and there's a whole kind of tree structure that exists that you just didn't really get in our old stuff. I mean, we can have a look at that in a moment, but you can see that this stuff has kind of been modeled in a way that's kind of much more high fidelity than you would typically see in Minecraft, right? Whereas I can just try and quickly zoom over to a part of the Shire that hasn't been updated. Here we go. This bit.
Right, cool.
I'll TP you over.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for teleporting me. That's good, Jack. That's yeah, cool.
No problem. There'll be a lot of that today.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're doing it. You're in the driving seat. That's brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
that's great.
So this tree is an example of like an old thing, right? So this is probably like 10 years old at this point, where you can see the blocks in it are literally just blocks of trunk and log, right? And it's just much less high fidelity than, say, a tree on the other side of this field over here, which has been replaced and is a lot more a lot more high fidelity. So
totally. So it's a big difference, actually, isn't it? It's one thing that struck me was the quality of the foliage and veg. It's light years ahead of Minecraft standard sort of veg and trees and branches. I mean, it's really nice.
Completely, yeah, and that's kind of something that we have been working on kind of throughout, right? Because over time, there's kind of two things going on here, right? Like obviously Minecraft as a game has evolved over time, but also and probably most crucially for us is that the mod that we use, which is called Conquest Reforged, has like massively expanded over time. So the textures that you see, the ones that we use, essentially began as just a resource pack or a texture pack, right? So it was literally just a skin of the original game, right? So just no additional blocks or models. It was purely just making the game itself look different. But then the development history of that is that spun out into a mod called Conquest Reforged, where actually new blocks and new block models started to be added to the game. And we contributed pretty significantly to that as a kind of project, and over time, and that's been going now for about 10 years. And so now we have, I mean, I don't know what the total figure is, Sean, but it's something like 13,000, no more, I want to say, different new additional.
Yeah. I think the final number we're shooting for is like 52 something thousand, but I think we're over 10 right now as far as for that.
That's amazing. I mean, but I think it shows that variety in veg really shows, because I mean, I'm playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 right now and doing videos on that as well, and all this compares like really well compared to that game. To my mind, I know it's Minecraft style, but the placement of the veg, how the trees are supported by the smaller trees, and the smaller trees are supported by the bushes, and the growth patterns of the different types of veg, it's coming from the same sort of philosophy of Kingdom Come. I think the way that it all fits together. So it's.
I suppose that's the philosophy of real life, yeah. That's
100%
what we're trying to fit into.
Exactly, yeah. Thanks, Sean. That's a better way of putting it than I was rambling. Great.
I was going to just teleport you quickly to a forest, so an old forest, right?
Oh,
So
yes, please.
again, this is kind of an interesting point in comparison. So again, so this is a
Oh,
forest
right.
that we made genuinely like 10 years ago, right?
Ah.
So obviously it's still a step up from the forests you get in vanilla Minecraft, right? Which are very basic, right? You know,
Yeah.
about as basic as you can imagine. So
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
there are still different species of trees in here. There's undergrowth, there's different bushes, things, and do you know what I mean? It's kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
you know, it's good, but it is kind of pretty you know, I would say woeful, but but compared to what we can achieve now, it's pretty underdeveloped. So you know, so on one hand we've got that that as a point of comparison, and then let me see if I can just get us over to a new forest.
Oh, that's oh, we're toward the Grey Havens, aren't we, over there? That's West
We
Shire,
are,
isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah, yeah, cool.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
So that's one old forest, and then if I bring us over to another one, much newer one.
Yeah, I mean, this looks
we
very nice anyway. This one to me, you know, I see what
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
saying, and it's a process of continual refinement, iteration, and improvement, isn't it? But yeah, wow, look at that. You know, I mean, the trunk width straight away is, you know, there's variation in tree sizes, widths, bark types by the looks of it, and all the undergrowth, and yeah, it really shows that does, yeah.
And a really crucial thing that's
Yeah.
coming later down the line is the ground itself. So you'll notice in the old
Ah.
stuff, everything's made out of full blocks, right? Whereas if you walk around on the ground here, you'll notice that as it changes elevation and stuff, it's much smoother, and that's because we get
Yeah.
to use what are called layer blocks.
Yeah,
So
they're
again,
like
it's just
half
another
slabs
kind
and
of
stuff.
correct, or even more, even thinner than a half slab, right? So
All
like you,
right, yeah.
it's 8 layers for every full Minecraft block.
Oh,
Essentially, is the way
nice,
it works.
lovely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can see. Yeah, they're quite thin, aren't they? It's a bit like the cakes, the Minecraft cakes, isn't it? I suppose.
Yeah,
You,
essentially, like you slice away at layers
yeah,
until you, um, and that's essentially it. So it means that in all our future terrain, right, you know, going forward and the whole map at some point, you will eventually have the whole map be like this, where all of the layers are kind of, all of the terrain is kind of fully smoothed in this way. And again, it's another kind of step away from an abstraction from, because if I bring you out of like the forest actually and up into the
hey.
field here, you can see, you know, looking at the side of this hillside here, you know, it's very clearly like you can't read the block lines in a way that you
Yeah.
could um uh, in vanilla Minecraft terrain,
Yeah,
essentially. And
totally.
that's kind of a really big step for us.
I mean, the veg goes a long way to softening the default Minecraft blockiness, but having this intermediate layering of those blocks is awesome. Yeah, I mean it's a real step up. I love it. I think it's amazing. This is
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. So it's a real kind of vision of what the map will eventually look like. And actually, our kind of long-term goals here with the map, I mean, I you know, maybe this hasn't been covered yet, is essentially that, you know, obviously we started working on this map back in 2014, 2015, right? And
Wow.
we have iteratively added onto it over time. We've kind of built up, you know, we started with the Shire and we did the Shire, and then we worked on the Bree, and then we, you know, moved into Lindon and then Rivendell and stuff, and the Arnor, and we've built up over time. But obviously, like the difficulty with that is when, you know, when we were doing a certain area, we didn't have the access to the vast array of tools. Like this layered terrain, for example, you know, this just didn't even exist as a concept when we were doing that stuff back in the day. And so
Yeah, yeah.
what we are working on now essentially is we're going to keep the same scale, but at a certain point we are going to re-release our actual terrain, that's going to, so it's all fully layered like this. It's going to entirely have all of the new trees, so all of those old trees get thrown out.
Wow.
And it's also going to have the other big thing that has happened since we started the map is that the overall height limit of Minecraft has massively increased as well. So
Excellent.
it means that we can now have these much bigger, more convincing mountain ranges, right, in a way that we couldn't have done
Wow.
back in the day.
Cool. So what's the height
So
limit then
uh,
now?
So the height limit is kind of whatever you want it to be now.
Oh,
You can
right.
kind of customize it to your heart's content. So for our purposes, so when we started, it was 256, and the new map is going to be 512. So it's a full like
Sweet. Oh,
doubling
nice.
of
Oh, that's great.
of
Because I mean, the Misty
yeah.
Mountains are awesome already. So imagining those even bigger is whoa, that'll be quite a treat. Yeah. Oh,
Yes, yeah, and
brilliant.
we've even got some previews of those that maybe we can show you
Oh, yes,
later
please.
on in the stream.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Great.
so yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, this
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
great.
yeah.
I love the wandering around with you guys. Yeah, I feel like I'm a hobbit, just wandering around. This is it's pretty cool. It's
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, these are just really
So,
good forests, and I mean, it's just really all sitting together beautifully. And I mean, like trees, forests, veg, they're not easy things to do in games,
No.
and these
no,
environments.
no, they're not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And and we can talk about well, what would be interesting to me actually is if I describe the thought process that goes into these forests. I wonder it would be interesting to hear your take on like how similar or different that is to the way that they're done in games. And obviously, games is such a broad term, right? And the way that a forest is done in one game is obviously not going to be the way that the forest is done in another game, right?
yeah, yeah.
But I think from our perspective, the way that we approach it, and by the way, I know that you love rivers. We're just coming up to a river now.
Oh, cool, right? Yeah.
And again,
Yeah.
actually, another big jump is that we now have these layered bottoms to the river, so you can now walk kind of smoothly into the water here,
Yeah,
which is
nice, nice
awesome.
river edge, lovely.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so for a forest like this, I mean,
Ah,
taking a 10,000-foot view, the way that we approach vegetation is so there's a map of Europe that's been developed by real life botanists, right? And they're called NVCs, so National Vegetation Classifications, and they're basically like kind of plant communities, right? So in this area, you would get these kinds of trees, these kinds of shrubs, these kinds of grasses, these kinds of whatever, right?
yeah.
And they all exist together in a certain context in a certain environment. And what we have been able to do is because we have botanists on our team, we have been able to take the information that has given to us in that European map, and we have been able to create a vegetation map of Middle Earth, right? And actually, I can stream that in my Discord. I don't know if that's a source that you can pick up with OBS. I appreciate I might be asking you to do this on the fly.
Well, yeah, I could do it.
It's not
Probably have to stop this and then switch the source over and do that. Might be something we want to do afterwards, maybe.
Yeah, we can do that afterwards. Yeah,
Cool,
yeah, absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, it's not a problem. But yeah, so essentially we have this map that allows us to determine different plant communities, right? So you can essentially it allows you to click on anywhere in Middle Earth, and it goes, okay, these are the trees you would get here. These are the plants you'd get here. These are the shrubs you get here, right?
Right.
So we have that as a data
Ooh.
source, which is huge. And then what we have is we have the tree grid, which is essentially an enormous, and this is Sean's project, right? Is an enormous repository of trees where we're building thousands of different trees, and we're building all of the species that we need, and we're building them. I guess the difference there with professional games is that I would imagine in many game environments you have asset repositories that you can, I guess, purchase or get licenses for, right? I assume that's how it works. You're not necessarily making all the tree assets in house.
Well, in my experience in like sort of AAA, it's all in house. But yeah,
Is it
I
all
know.
in-house? Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
but smaller companies or certainly indie companies, there's asset stores and lots of lovely assets that they'll be able to purchase, license, and all that stuff. So yeah, I guess it depends on the size of your company. Like a larger company they don't like to license assets; they like to make their own stuff. That's
Okay,
generally how it works.
so we're taking the AAA approach then.
There you go. Well,
And
yeah,
making
see
all of
it.
our trees.
It shows.
So
Yes, it's good.
yeah, absolutely. So and the reason that we have to do that is because frankly, like because we operate with this very specific mod, right? Which obviously you have trees in vanilla Minecraft, but like they won't be able to come anywhere close to this level of veracity or whatever the term is, right?
Yeah.
So we have this very specific mod, and the needs that we have are so huge. I mean, we mentioned earlier like tens of thousands of tree assets that we need to build because for any given species you're probably building. I mean, what do you think, Argent? I mean, 50 to 120 different individuals within that species, probably.
Wow.
And that covers saplings all the way up to really ancient versions of that tree. We have dead ones, dying ones with ivy, ones with moss. The full gamut essentially.
Yeah, so many
and so we have to do all
permutations.
of that. Exactly, and we have to do all of that in house. And then you have to think that across Middle Earth, you're covering a range of environments that go from, the tundras of kind of northern Scandinavia all the way down to kind of North Africa, right? So the range of species and environments you get there is pretty enormous. And so, so that's an entire project, right? so you build all of those trees, and then you know where all these trees are going to appear in the world because we have that asset, that database I mentioned earlier. And then that all gets loaded up into World Painter, which is essentially a third-party program where we go, this is my main area. I go in and paint all of these individual assets onto the terrain in a kind of structured way. And that involves, picking out, I mean, you can see as you fly along this river, you can see that, you get these smaller trees closer to the river edge, and then that builds back up into bigger forests. And all that has to be done kind of more or less manually,
Okay.
in this program. So we're not individually right clicking and placing in the individual trees, but it is being done in brushes, and it's still pretty involved.
Can I ask, just in that process, has it got some awareness of the steepness of the terrain?
Correct. Yeah. So there are the program itself can tell me how steep is this terrain, and therefore do you not or want to paint things on it, basically.
Yeah, great.
So that's one of the things it can do for me.
Cool.
But some of the stuff I do as well with Luther or Cain here is that, so if you're flying over these grassy areas, you'll probably see that there are different kinds of grass being placed in different bits. And that is, luckily, we are now able to do that using World Machine. So this World Machine is a third-party program, which I don't know if that's something World Machine is something you've come across in your professional life.
Yes. I have. I have to be careful with what I say because working at Rockstar, I can't go into internal tool chains and workflows too much.
Of course.
But suffice to say, I have, a past experience with World Machine. Not necessarily at Rockstar, I might add. But yeah, it's a well-known tool in the games industry as World Machine. Very capable.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So World Machine, I mean, Cain here can speak more to it directly, but that is essentially, that is the program that not only is it the program that we use to shape all of our mountains and hills and so on and so forth, but it's also the program that we use to kind of generate splat maps, the wrong word, but basically like maps that kind of you take into account slope and aspect and all of that stuff to generate interesting shapes for where plants get placed.
Yeah, so, splat maps are really, really useful. They're a great sort of way of bringing awareness of what surface types there are, isn't it? It's a good process to use. That I think you're on the right track there, I reckon. Anyway, Jack. Yeah, it's cool.
Good.
Yeah, just before I forget, right? I don't mean to interrupt you, Jack, but I want to say this river is really good. It's a really, really nice river, and I love the shapes of it because where I am here, I'm looking at this sandbank, and then there's a little, there's a kind of offshoot of the main river. Here we go. Yeah, I see you guys here. This little sort of swampy bit that's kind of got cut off a little bit. And then your sandbar here, and it's almost like the beginnings of an oxbow lake, maybe in the far future, isn't it? And then this split up ahead. It sort of splits into three here, but you've got little sand bits there, and it's a very interesting. And all too often you see rivers, and they're just like pretty boring, straight sort of road,
just a line through the landscape.
Yeah, and it's great to see you're picking up on a lot of stuff that most AAA games aren't picking up, and so I love that.
Nice to hear. That's nice to hear. Yeah, I mean, so the rivers themselves are a whole process that I do, and not to kind of reveal the tricks of the trade, but I mean, literally what I am doing is so obviously the Eisen, as we are flying above it, has a specific shape that has been defined by Tolkien, right? So we know exactly how this river flows. Actually, from Isengard, it's the river that comes out of Isengard to the sea, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
know how that happens, but what I then do is I go, okay, well, obviously we have a line on a map, but I'm not just going to do a line on a map as a river because that would be boring, as you were saying. What I want to do instead is I want to make it realistic. So what I do is I scour Google Earth, and I actually find that Siberia has some absolutely fantastic resources for this. And essentially, I rip bits of Siberian rivers, I stitch them all together in an image editing program. I then trace over them and trace all the sandbanks and all the flows of the river and stuff, but in a way that, you know, I find the bits that fit the drawing that Tolkien has done. Do you see what I mean? And then I just stitch it together end to end, draw it over it, sketch over it, and then put it into the terrain editing program, World Painter, and then put it into the game that way. So
cool.
The reason the shapes are good is because they're real shapes.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I find that
That's a really
hard.
good way to do it. Yeah, I mean, you're using an invaluable resource in Google Earth there. And you know, it's right there, isn't it? All the river formation, and all the kind of you know, the historical roots of these rivers and how they've carved the landscape, and it's all right there in Google Earth for you to see, isn't it? So, yeah, that's a great way to do it. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. So that's the approach we take. But
cool.
You know, it's so. I mean, we could go on, right? I mean, I think what's super interesting about all of this is, like, I mean, one of the things I wanted to kind of touch upon during this conversation was, like, how obviously we're talking about some of the similarities here in terms of the programs and the tools that we use and all that kind of thing. But I think what's quite interesting or maybe different about ArdaCraft as compared to like a game that gets developed is that I guess a game has to be a game. I know that sounds very stupid, but you know, a game is being designed from the ground up to be a good, fun game. And we're not designing a game. We are purely in a very kind of purist way recreating a world.
So that was really interesting, wasn't it? That was great. I really enjoyed that. I had a great time chatting to those guys. So you'll find episode 2 over at ArdaCraft's YouTube channel, and link will be in the description and on the video as well. So maybe see you there. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.